Hi, this is Jimmy from The Productive Engineer, and today I'm going to be giving you a beginner's view of Evernote, taking you, assuming that you know nothing about Evernote, and taking you through the various aspects of Evernote until by the end of the video you should be able to be productive inside of Evernote. We're going to talk about things like notes, notebooks, stacks, tags, search, the various pieces of Evernote that make Evernote Evernote, and how to enable those to make yourself more productive. Now, before I get started with the video, if you like this video, please click the like button, as pressing the like button really helps out my channel and tells YouTube that this channel is worth watching. If you want to see more of my videos, please click the subscribe button. This channel is all about tutorials, whether it's Todoist, Evernote, Notion, Google Docs, or any of the other apps that you use every day to try to get things done. Subscribe to my channel. I'll probably, if there's something you're looking to do, I probably either have a video that already covers it, or I'll be coming out with a video that covers it. And lastly, if you want to be notified when I release new videos, please click the bell. Thanks. Okay, let's get started. So as you can see, I have Evernote open, and what we're going to do is talk about the structure of Evernote before we get into how to do things. And I'm going to keep this quick. Evernote uses a 3-tier structure that emulates the way you would take notes in real life. The smallest unit is a note. A note contains anything from text to images to links to files. Everything that you're going to put into Evernote, you're going to put into a note. Once you have a collection of notes, if they have a common characteristic, you can put them into notebooks. And notebooks are nothing more than a container for notes. You can have multiple notebooks in Evernote based upon category or whatever organizational structure that you choose. And once you have a bunch of notebooks, you can put that are related in some way. You can put them into a stack. A stack is literally a bunch of notebooks. So think of it as a 3-level hierarchy. Notes go in notebooks. Notebooks can become stacks of notebooks. Hopefully that helps as an analogy as we move forward with the tutorial. So let's start by creating a notebook. There's several ways you can do it. You can come up here to File, select New Notebook. You can also use the keyboard shortcut, which is Shift Command N in Mac, or Shift Control N in Windows. Or you can come to the Notebooks section in the left-hand panel, click on it, and then up here you'll see a New Notebook button. We'll just use that way. We'll press that. And when you're adding a new notebook, the first thing you gotta do is give it a name. So we're gonna call this Evernote Demo because this is an Evernote demo. And then underneath, you have 2 ways you can configure access to your notebook. One of which is private, which means you can set it up where only you can access this notebook. And that's going to be the default for most of your notebooks. Or you can set up shared. So I'm going to click on shared here just to show you what it looks like. And then when you click shared, you can type a name or an email address. And once you do that, you can share that notebook with other people. And they can access everything in that notebook, but nothing else beyond that notebook. So it gives you a certain level of granular control over how people can access aspects of your Evernote without having full access to everything in your Evernote account. We're going to choose private. So we'll choose private, click create. And our notebook, as you can see right here, is created. So I'm going to just double click on it to open it up. And as you can see, we have no notes because we just created it. So let's create a new note. There's a couple different ways you can create a new note. One is this button right here, the big green button. You can just press that, create a note. You can also come up here to File, New Note, or just Command N or Control N on Windows. So this time we'll mix it up. We'll do the key from the main menu, and come in here, and we have a note. So the first thing you're typically going to do when you open up a note is come down here into your window pane. So you can either edit it here in the main window, or you can double click the note, which I'm going to do right here, and then show you that here. And that will show you just the note view. And the first thing you're typically going to do is give you a note title. So this is first note. As an example, we have a first note. And then we can click in here in the body, and we have a couple different options here. We can just start writing by clicking in here, start typing stuff, and we're going to go over text formatting in a second, or we can use a template. Most of the time, you're going to be just coming in here typing a note. So you come in here, say, this is my first note. And there you go, right? So everything's good. You have a note. And the next thing you want to do potentially is edit the text in your note. So you can change the font size. So I can come in here and come over here, up here. This is the text editing bar. So you could come up and say, hey, I want that to be, like, say 24 point, and it blows it up. You can also change the font. It has a handful of options here. It's not, super robust, but you have the basic ones. And come back down here. Create the paragraph text. Let's change this back to Helvetica New. This is text. And let's say I wanted to bold text. I can just select it and then come up here to my formatting options. I have bold, italics, underline, and then I have text color and then highlighting. So let's start with bold. And as you see, I have some bold text right there. You can have obviously multiple elements and bold that. You can also italicize. And one of the cool things that Evernote does in their bar here, as you can see, when I have the text highlighted, if it has formatting applied, it will show that to me up here by coloring, in this case blue, the option. So if I come up here and hit underline, now it is. If I turn off italicize, you see now it's no longer colored. So that's a pretty cool feature right there. Let's say I want to add some color text. So this is some red text. You can notice that because I had bold on, when I hit enter, it's automatically bolding this. I can unbold it by selecting it, pressing the bold button. And if I want to change the color of the text, I can come here to the A with the color underline. And as you can see, because it was black, it's all black here. You just take the slider, move it down to normal. Actually, I like it a little brighter. Move it down a little more. Unless I want that to be red, I just click red, and there you go. Now I have some red text. I can close the color window. Let's say I want to highlight some text. So this is the part where I highlight. Oops, I'm going to spell where we highlight text. Let's say I want to highlight the word highlight. So I can just double click that. Come here to the highlighter, click it. You can notice now it's whenever I select text and it has that formatting, as you can see, it shows me that. And now when I click off, you can see that text is highlighted. You can also add code by hitting the code button. Most people are not going to do that, but if you were to click that, it creates a little block where you could write in some code and it'll have some formatting in it. Next, let's talk about lists. So lists in Evernote are pretty easy to generate. You have bulleted lists, checklists, and numbered lists. So there's a couple different ways you can create a bulleted list. Number one, you can just hit asterisk space, which is the quickest way. When you're typing a note, asterisk space, and you're right into a bulleted list. You can say first bullet, enter, second bullet. Now let's say I wanted to indent my bullet. I can hit tab, and now put me in one level, and I can say sub bullet. And let's say I wanted to go again, tab again, it gives me another level of bullets. Next level. Let's say I wanted to go back out. Now tab goes indents into a list. Shift tab will take you back out. So when I hit enter and I hit shift tab, shift tab, you can see I go out one level. If I hit shift tab again, it'll take me out to another level. I can say third bullet. And that works for numbered lists as well. It works the exact same way. So let's make a numbered list. Oh, and to get out of a list, let me go back. If I hit enter once, it's the next item in the list. But if I hit enter again, that takes me out of the list. So let's say I want to make a numbered list. So the easiest way, again, the number 1 dot space. I can say 1, next 2. And let's say I wanted to indent again, tab, 1, 2. Let's say I want to indent again, 1, 2. Let's say I want to go back out, type in 3. That's it. Type in 3. My typing skills are not on point today, so I apologize. 3. So the key thing to remember is tab goes in one level. Shift tab takes you back out. That works on both Windows and Mac. You can also, if you are an asterisk space or the number dot space, you can also come up here and click your list option. So you can click the bulleted list here and say 1, 2. You can come up here and also do numbered lists. So click the number 1, 2, and you get the idea. The third list is the checklist. So you can actually create little checklists, which is kind of cool. So I'm going to erase this real quick because I think we kind of covered it. And come down over here. And let's say I want to make a quick checklist. So I could come and click the checklist box and say, pick up groceries, right? Watch TV. Whatever. Make dinner. You get the idea. So you can make your little checklist. It's going to, again, just like exiting a numbered list or a bulleted list, you just hit enter twice. That'll take you out of the list. Now, let's say I want to check one of these off. Let's say I'm done watching TV. I don't know why I would put that on a checklist, but I check that off, and now it has a check mark. I can uncheck it as well. So check it. You can check all of these. You can uncheck them. Pretty straightforward. You ever used the checkbox before? That's kind of how it works. You can put dividers in. So I'm going to hit enter a couple times here, and I can click this little button up here. That's the divider, and as you can see, it creates a line divider between this section and a new section. It's good if you have your page, you sort of want to break your page up logically into different sections. Dividers are a nice way to sort of do that. Let's talk about text alignment. So let's say I wanted to have left aligned. That's sort of the default where everything's aligned to the left. I can come up here, so I can select this text and then come up here, and I have align left, center, right, or justify. So left is the default, so that's left aligned. I'm going to do right aligned real quick. Show you what that looks like. Come up here, align right, and I'll take you to the opposite side. We can do centered, and then just center, and you see that's centered, and then hit enter again, and I'll say justify, and take that, and we'll just do justify, and there you go. So it gives you some amount of control over how you align your text inside your note. This is really more for paragraph. You're writing paragraphs and you want to do alignment. If you want to need to control the alignment, you can definitely do that. The next section, we're going to talk about tables. Okay, let's talk about tables. So let's make a new note. Let's just use the keyboard Command N in Mac, Control N in Windows. So I'm going to do that, and as you can see, it generates a new note. This time, instead of double clicking the note to put it into note view, we're just going to edit it right here inside the main window. We're going to call this table examples. And I'm going to come down here, and there's a couple ways you can add a table. The main way I typically just do it is I use the little table button right here. Click that table button. And the reason why I use that is because it allows me to customize how many columns and how many rows my table has. As you can see, right now this is a 2x2, a 3x3. You get the idea. So let's do a 4x4 table, and when I do that, it adds those rows. So I might put some titles in here, like a name, name, occupation, phone number, and email, as an example, like a simple contact list. And then I can put, the name, Joe Smith, occupation, engineer, phone number 555-555-1111, and then email, fake, or jsmith@fake.com. Whatever. So you get the idea. So you have some entries in here. You have your table. You can adjust the borders here by just clicking on it and moving it, pulling it in. If you want to make it tighter, if you know that your email address is going to be a little longer, make that longer. You know your name is going to be a little longer, make that longer. Maybe make your occupation a little longer. So you can do that to enter text in there. Again, just like I did earlier, just click in the cell you want to add text to. The important thing with tables in Evernote that's different than tables in other programs like Notion is that the tables are static tables. They don't change. They don't have dynamic content. They're not going to do calculations. It's all about just holding based data in it, text-based data in it. And it's just fine for most use cases in Evernote. You just try to jot things down, put some data and organize it. You can also come up here and select the whole table by clicking this little double, I guess like an equal sign button here. I can add another column by just coming up to the upper right of that and clicking that. I can also hit the undo to undo that. I can select everything here. If I come down here, I can create a new row right up here, a new row here, a new row here on these little dots. So any place there's a dot, I can potentially add a column, or in this case, add a row. So it makes it pretty easy. The next thing you want to probably do once you have some data in your table is you're gonna want to format that. You want to make the table look decent. So most of the time that means for your top row, you can select this, and then when you come over here, you have this little drop down arrow that I just clicked, and you get a couple different options. You can match the note's width. So if I do that, it basically makes the table the width of the entire note. I can hit undo to undo that. Come back. I can distribute my columns evenly, meaning that each column is the exact same width. So it'll take the longest piece of content and make them the same, make all the other lesser columns the same width. I can come over here and do cell alignment. I can align by center. I can bottom align. But we'll just go back, align the top. And that it messes with the alignment. One of the things I like to do with tables is I come down here and I want to give it a background, right? Because I want my title bar to be different than the rest of my text. So I can come up here and say I want a nice green background. And you can notice that Evernote did two things here. They added the background color, but they were also smart enough to realize that the black would not look good. So if I had this text and I made it black, you see it doesn't stand out as well. So it was smart enough to say, you know what, whenever I place a certain color as a background, I'm going to turn the text white, so that way it'll actually show up. So that's a pretty cool little feature. You can also come over here and you can delete columns. You can delete the entire table. So you have several basic options here. And that's how you mess around with tables inside of Notion. The next thing I want to talk about are tags. Tags are really powerful inside of Evernote. The ability to assign pieces of metadata onto your notes makes them infinitely more sortable and searchable. I'm going to show you an example of that real quick. So let's say my table examples here, I want to add some tags. So I come up here, I click on it, and I click where it says right down here, click to add tags. I just click in that little bar, and let's say I want to create a tag that says tables. And I come down here, and then now you can see a piece of metadata is in there. I can add multiple pieces by just coming in here, clicking again, and saying examples. And I can come over here and give this one examples. And maybe do a new one called text example, text. So now this has two tags. Yes, it took a second to update. We have two examples here of tags. So now let's say I want to find all the notes that have examples so I can start typing examples in my search bar up here. And Evernote is really good with search. It's probably my favorite piece of technology inside of Evernote is its ability to search and find things. So we're going to talk about how I can search inside of PDF files that have been OCR'd. So you can actually find content inside of a document, which is really cool. But this is a simple example. When I type in examples here, you can see here that it's smart enough to know that it has a tag named examples. Do I mean that, or some other examples like of text that are in my notes that might be like good examples, text table examples, favorite examples. In this case, and it also down here, it says, yes, you have a tag named examples, and there's two notes that have that tag. So I can just click that as an example, and it'll take me to it'll show me those notes that have the examples tag. If I come up here and change this, I can actually come down here, add a search option to this, by tag. And then when I do that, I can come down here and go to, by type the T, it'll bring me down to the text section. I can add that, and now I have this. And when I hit enter, you can see I have examples. This is searching for everything that has these two tags. As you see, I only have one piece of content, the content that we just created earlier for my first note, that matches both of those criteria. So that's pretty cool. You can add. You also have a bunch of save searches that you can add, so you can create your own searches and then save them. Like I can save this potentially as a save search, and then later on come back and reuse that over and over and over again whenever I want. So the searchability in Evernote is really cool. It allows you to find the data very quickly that you're looking for. I'm going to show you how to import a PDF in a little bit, and it will show you, an OCR PDF, and then show you how we search for text inside that. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a PDF into Evernote, and I'm going to show you how Evernote makes that searchable. So I'm going to create another note. Come up here, press this new note button. I'm going to give it a title PDF search example. And then what I'm going to do is I have a file here, a PDF file on my desktop that I'm going to drag into my Evernote window here and let go. Scroll to the top, and you can see that PDF is in here. It's a Python book. So I'm going to actually search for content that's in here. So let's say I want to find something on Python 2.7 support. So what I could do up here, I'll type in quotes because I want that phrase, Python 2.7 support. I'll put another quote and hit enter. And as you can see, I have 3 options here. So it searched all my notes and found that these 3 notes have that phrase in it. So my PDF search example is right here. So as you can see, it shows me the 3 notes that have it, which actually I have the same book in here 3 times. That's why it's in here 3 times. So you can see it's pretty cool that you are able to search for a phrase and you can find the exact file that has that phrase, which to me is awesome. It really saves time. And as you can see, it took a little bit, but Evernote not only knew that I had that, but it actually took me to the exact spot where that phrase appears. So obviously that can greatly speed up your workflow. If you spend a lot of time going through manuals or reference guides and you're looking for specific content, you can just type in a phrase or a couple of words that represent that, and if they show up in the text, it will not only take you to the note, it'll take you to the phrase. And that really has helped me out a lot of times when I've used Evernote in the past. The last thing I want to cover for Evernote is stacks. We talked about them in the beginning of this video, and stacks are collections of notebooks. So let's say let's go back to our first notebook here, which is the Evernote demo one, I believe. And let's say let's create another notebook. So I'm coming here to create another notebook. We'll call this one sample notebook. We'll make it private as well. Hit create. And we'll come down here to sample notebook. We'll add a quick note. Test note 1. Test note. The content's less important than showing the concept of doing stacks. The way you do a stack is to come in to notebooks, find one of the notebooks you want to add to the stack. So I'm going to come down here to, where's the example? Evernote demo. I'm going to click the ellipses, and you can see if I come down here, there's an add to stack option, and it lists my existing stacks. As you can see, I have a handful here, or I can create a new stack. In this case, we're going to create a new stack. I'm going to click new stack, and as you can see, it's created a stack called notebook stack that contains my notebook. So I can double click that. It took me a little bit to double click it, and call this my Evernote demo stack. Hit enter. And now you see, because it keeps the notebooks and stacks alphabetized, I now have my demo stack with my demo notebook. Let's say I wanted to add my sample notebook into that. So I'll scroll down here to sample notebook, click on the ellipses. I can click on the ellipses, come down here to add the stack, and now you should notice my Evernote demo stack shows up as an option in the stacks column. So I will select that. You see the sample notebook disappears. I come back up to my demo stack, and now you can see I have these two. I can actually drag it out of the stack by just clicking and pulling it out of the stack. I can also move it into the stack by coming up, of course, and just dragging it inside the stack, and now it's back in the stack. So a couple different options there, but stacks can be pretty powerful once you have a bunch of common notebooks that you want to group together. Like I have a career stack, I have a learning stack, I have a personal stack. You get the idea. And each one of those contains notebooks that are related to that general theme. Well, I hope this video was helpful to you. If you like this video, please click the like button. It really does help out my channel. If you want to see more videos from me on tutorials from Evernote, Notion, Google Docs, Todoist, and various other applications, you really should be subscribed to my channel. That's all I cover here on my channel, is how to be more productive in productivity apps. And if you want to be notified when I release new videos, please click that bell. And also, leave me a comment. Let me know if you have any questions about Evernote, Todoist, any apps that you have that you are struggling with, or just leave me feedback on how you think the videos are helping you or things I could do to improve them. Thanks.